In this episode, we're going to be sharing how you can be disciplined with your finances, something that's extremely important, especially in an inflation environment. Hey Wealth Builders, my name is Mishak.
And I'm Akiva.
And welcome back to another episode of The Bemused. On this channel, we talk about all things personal finance for young adults just like you and me.
So if you're into that kind of thing, go on and hit that big red subscribe button and click that notification bell while you're at it so you never miss me posting new fun videos just like this one. So building discipline within your finances is really important. Of course, yes, no, it does not sound fun. However, being disciplined and, that doesn't mean being rigid. We'll talk about the differences, right? Not being rigid, but being disciplined, right? Being able to stick to some sort of plan with your finances is a really, really important part of developing our financial journeys, an important part of reaching any financial goal that you have, set for yourself, right? In order to achieve those goals, you have to be disciplined. So here are some of those tips. The first one is to stop trying to work against your nature. This is probably like an underrated, probably something that people don't talk about. But what I found is that when you try to fit somebody else's mold, try to use the budgeting app they use and do things this way or budget the way they do, or, prioritize your expenses the way they do, or they're house hacking, so I should house hack too, right? Don't try to do something that doesn't come naturally to you, right? That's what I have found. The way that I have found success is by embracing your own tendencies, your own flow, and working within that, right? Because when you try to do that, you just cause a lot of unnecessary friction, and then you end up kind of just going off the rails. So, like I said, for me, I know that I am a hot mess a lot of times, okay? Organization does not come very naturally to me. He will tell you that, right? We are very much polar opposites when it comes to that. And so I knew that, for example, in managing my finances, in developing my budget, and developing my cash flow tracking, I needed a way that was going to be easy. I did not need stuff that was going to be a pain for me because it just would not get done and my finances would be a hot mess, right? And so finding whatever it is that works for you, that comes most naturally to you. There's no one right way to do this personal finance thing. It is personal. So don't try to work against your nature. Really just find the strategies, the tools, the methods that work for you.
And an example of this, and we've heard financial gurus out there, oh, don't waste money on coffee, for example. You can make it at home, it's so much cheaper. Yeah, that's true. That it can be true for a lot of people, but is that what works best for you? It's not always about financial sometimes. I mean, it is about financial, but it's about also sometimes convenience. We pay for things for convenience a lot of the times, not because it makes financial sense. It's much cheaper to cook at home. It doesn't mean that I don't like going to the restaurant for that experience, for that convenience of not being able to, sit down and not have to make anything. But how you can bring in that discipline is saying, well, you know what? Yeah, buying coffee every day, that's a lot. So, my options might be, okay, let me cap myself. I can do coffee 3 days a week. I'm going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that's going to be it. And I'm going to be content with that because that's a good level where I can stay. Or it might be, I'm going to buy coffee every day, but I'm going to adjust something else. Instead of dropping my laundry off and having someone else wash it and I just pay them and pick it up, I'm going to make the sacrifice to do my laundry myself because it's going to save me some money. So those are the things that we mean. Do what comes naturally to you and don't do what everyone else is saying just because they're saying you have to do it.
Right. Again, because the last thing we want is, this is a really big problem that I see all the time. A budget, a plan that looks real sexy on paper that you cannot stick to, right? So we got to be realistic. We got to be real with ourselves and be disciplined in whatever it is that we do come up with.
Because if it's not you, you're going to backpedal, right? You're going to go and you're going to, I'm going to do 3 days a week having coffee. And it's like, you do it for 1 week, maybe 2. And then by week 3, you're having like shock, you're having withdrawal. You're like, oh my goodness, I need to have my coffee every day from, this coffee shop. You just have to have it. Don't do things that are going to be destructive to you either. You have to figure out what works. The second tip is set goals that matter to you. Again, kind of goes hand in hand with tip number 1. If I don't give a hoot about, owning a vehicle, I don't need to, put down money every month towards a car if I don't want to own a car. And there are some people out here who don't want to drive. They're quite fine with Ubering. They're quite fine with using public transportation, and that's okay. You have to do what works for you. What if you're the type of person where, you love looking at pictures on Instagram of this person in Bora Bora, of this person here, but you're cool with staying local. You don't like to travel internationally. You're fine with staying, within the US or maybe even within your state or a couple states over. That's
within your house, like me sometimes.
That's fine. You don't have to, everybody else is doing this, so I have to do it too. Don't fall into those traps.
Yeah. And that extends, even to deep-seated things that you probably didn't even realize were influenced by other people, right? Like even within like things that you were raised to do, for example. The reason why I don't travel is because my parents never traveled growing up. We never went anywhere. So therefore, that's just not something I thought about. But maybe it's something you actually want, and vice versa, right? So you really have to take into consideration not only the things that you see kind of like other people out there doing, but also kind of the messages you received within your household, within your upbringing that might be affecting your values. Not to say that you have to go against the grain with everything that you were raised by. That is definitely not what we're saying at all. However, just note what those differences are and why it is that you value certain things, and really set those goals that matter to you. Not your mama, not your auntie, not your sister, to you.
Not your friends, to you. So if you don't want to go to brunch, don't go to brunch. Okay?
I'm gonna go to brunch.
I know I'm gonna get some hate in the comments.
I'm gonna go to brunch.
I'm gonna get some hate in the comments on that one, but it's like, look, don't do what other people are doing. Don't be pressured into things because everybody else is doing it. Be your own person.
And by setting the goals that matter to you, it's gonna be so much easier to be disciplined because your plan will be your own and something that you actually want for your own life. Tip number 3 is to establish guardrails, okay? We all need guardrails, because if we don't have the barriers to keep us from going over the cliff, sometimes we will. Okay, so what does that mean? That can mean a whole bunch of different things, right? It could mean something as easy as separating your checking from your savings. That's something that we talked about in a previous video, right? Those guardrails that you just innately set up, whether it's using automation, that could be your friend to, help make sure things go to the various areas that you want. Those can be guardrails that you set up for yourself to keep that discipline, right? Taking some things off of your plate, having to do them manually, those kinds of things will help you to stay disciplined.
Definitely. If you're the type of person that, again, you're working on that budget, but you haven't fine-tuned it yet, you're still working through some things, make sure that you use the tools that are at your disposal in your arsenal to help you. If you know that your emergency fund is important to you, prioritize that. Automate it. Make sure that, set it up at your job even. You don't even have to have an automatic transfer from one account to the next that you did. Go to your job, submit a direct deposit slip, and don't even have the money hit your checking account. Let it go to the savings account so that you know that money is good. It's where it needs to be. That's an example of, doing what works. Make sure that you have those guardrails on and you have systems in place because you know yourself. You know what you're going to do versus what you're not going to do. And if all the money gets into your checking account, if you're not the person who's strong enough to transfer it over, don't put yourself in a situation to stumble. Make sure that you put yourself in a situation to win.
Yeah, I'm laughing at his example because it's like Mr. HR dude coming out here. Like, that's the first example he could have thought of. But no, it's true. It is definitely true. It's something that can be really, really useful. You got to know yourself, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, importantly, so that you know what it is that, will trip you up so that you can help to mitigate those things and establish the guardrails that matter for you. Whether it's account alerts, there's so many different guardrails that you can set up for yourself so that you can keep yourself on track.
Number 4, find accountability, right? I know that it might be a little bit daunting sometimes to think about this one. Accountability can be in a number of forms, but the one that I'm going to refer to is maybe a friend, a family member, someone who you can, share the situation, your financial journey, your financial wins that you want to have, your financial goals that you're, working towards, and help them keep you accountable. And find someone that you trust, someone who's not going to be blabbing your business all over the place, but find someone who will say, hey, You said that you wanted to put $20 a month towards this. I saw you spend, 100 and whatever. I think that's over your budget. Check check that. Make sure that you're not going over what you said you were going to do. You need someone like that to really kind of shake you up sometimes and remind you that, hey, you're working towards something. Don't give up. It's going to be so great when you make it, but if you keep doing these things that are going to just, backpedal and, delay that win, it's also going to keep you in a place of doubt, in a place of maybe potentially depression, like feeling that you can't make it. You need someone to help carry you sometimes across the finish line. And an accountability partner is the perfect person for that.
Yeah, you might be thinking now, where do I find an accountability partner, right? Like, I'm not used to having these conversations with my friends or anybody like that. I don't have anybody in my circle who I might necessarily trust with that. Where do I find them? The great news is that there are so many great like-minded communities online. So, various Facebook groups. We have our own, private Facebook group for our Money 180 members, for example, where people can have accountability through there, kind of a built-in accountability pod, through our program there. But there's so many ways that you can just connect with other people online. Sometimes it's even better when it's a stranger, truthfully, that you can, spill your stuff to, and you can hold each other. It's not just about somebody holding you accountable, but it's even better if you can hold them accountable for their goals as well, because that provides for a mutually beneficial relationship. Some people even take the step of going public with their accountability, like us, right? Or they share their money information online, whether they start a blog or a podcast or a YouTube channel. I'm not saying you have to go that far, but some people do choose to go that far because, again, if we go and do something real screwy with our money, and then we got to come to y'all with our next net worth update and be like, y'all, look what happened. You know what I'm saying? That ain't going to be fun, because now we have an army of y'all out there ready to, keep us in check. But that's a great thing, that public accountability that really also helps us stay on the straight and narrow, because we know that, we share a lot of our financial lives with you all, and we cherish that and that opportunity. So definitely find that accountability in whatever way and whatever spaces and places are going to serve, your lifestyle, your personality, and your goals best.
So we've made it to the end of another video, and I don't know about you, but that felt great to be able to get that off my chest, some of those things, and share those tips with you on how you can get disciplined with your money. But I want to hear from you. So comment down below the word discipline if these tips were helpful, if you're going to use them. We'd love to hear from you down there in the comments.
Yeah, and share how you might be holding yourself accountable or, implementing any of the things that we've talked about in this video so far. And if you want more of an inside look as to what we're doing with our finances, even more accountability being put on the line here, and to hear some of the experiences that we mentioned that others are having, working with us and having that accountability, I invite you to join our free webinar. It's called the Financial Freedom Formula, How to Build Wealth Without a Six-Figure Salary, essentially recounting our journey to doing exactly that. So the link to that will be down in the description box below, and I hope to see you there.
So don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you never miss when we post new content just like this. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.